Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. The flat season is in full flow now. We're already looking ahead to the Epsom Derby and Oaks, of course, and Royal Ascot is only 3 weeks away. Some horses are on trial for Royal Ascot tomorrow on Saturday. We have some good racing from York. We also have racing from Newmarket, and we also have the Group 2 Sandy Lane Stakes from Haydock, where Limato puts his credentials on the line and his unbeaten run as well. Graham Lee will take the ride on Limato tomorrow. Joining me to cover the cards on Channel 4 for Saturday's racing is Adam Webb and Callum Adele. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Nice of you to dress up, Adam.
I never dress up. You're only dressed up because you're coming from work.
I was going to say you pass, but you know, I thought I'd make an effort tonight.
Yeah.
Complete with massive black bags under eyes. It's competitive racing tomorrow, isn't it, Adam? Maybe not one for a huge betting day, but it's a good watch.
Yeah, it's a good watch tomorrow. You've got plenty of action all across the country, and you've got lots on Channel 4. I mean, we've got 9 races to get through. Some interesting handicaps. I think there are 1 or 2 bets to be had tomorrow. I will say that. There's one in the Sandy Lane at a big price that I think is overpriced, and I'm interested in. So we'll reveal that later on.
I can't wait. I'm already so excited for that. Our naps last week, we can reveal those. We'll go for a sweep, and we'll say where our naps came. Adam, where was your nap?
Hernando's Hideaway in the first at Haydock, and he was second.
Yeah, I napped King to Be at Goodwood, which was second.
Oh,
I napped Open Tiara, and that also finished as dreaded second.
Yeah, so we were good last week with seconditis. If you'd had an each-way treble, you'd have been absolutely fine, because they were all nice enough prices for an each-way treble anyway, but you would have got a bit of money back from that. We apologise, we are on slightly later than normal tonight as well. We started at just a little bit past 9 o'clock. I was working until 8, and Callum was also working until about 11 o'clock tonight, actually. Yeah. So we apologise for that, but we thank you for your patience and for joining us. And for that, you can get in touch with us at On the Other Hoof, and we'll read out every single question, fancy, and whatever else you want to send us within reason at the end of the show, to the best of our abilities, of course. But we've got 9 races to cover tonight here and On the Other Hoof, so we're going to crack on with the first race, which is the 145 from York, the titanbet.co.uk stakes, a handicap over 7 furlongs. And for the moment, we have 16 runners in the field, Adam, which means we get 4 places for each way turns.
But how long is that going to last, we don't know. Hopefully all 16 turn up and we will get 4 places. Interesting handicap to start the day. Alfred Hutchinson is your favourite, but he's just very hard to win with, and everything fell right for him last time out, where you beat You're Fired. And I'm not sure he can do it again. The one that I am going to side with, I'm going to side with Dusky Queen, who also won at the Dante meeting last time out, and she's got good form earlier in the season with Battis Spirit, who runs in the John O'Gaunt Stakes later on. And with Sammy Bell taking 5 off, I think she's the one to beat in a competitive enough race. I mean, you've got horses, I think, like Louis the Pious, who are here for a run. I think his handicap mark will need to come down before we see him winning again. And you've got others, beloved horses like Blaine, Foxtrot Romeo with ours. Foxtrot Romeo. If there's an each way one in the race, I don't really think there is an each way one in the race. I'd actually just slide with Dusky Queen as the one to beat.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with Dusky Queen. I think the form of that handicap that actually won last time out was actually pretty strong. Royal Seal was back in second, who I think is going to be a very progressive horse. I think we saw when we were at that meeting. We saw Royal Seal in the parade ring. He looks as if he'd come on a bit for the run, but looks like a fairly high-class animal. And I think Dusky Queen would just be a horse that improves for a really strong pace. She can travel off of that pace. She's a very strong travelling horse as well. Samantha Bell gave her a really good ride last time, claims £5 yet again, but has to defy a £7 rise tomorrow. I think she'll go well at 10 to 1. Also, another horse I've been a bit disappointed with, really, that hasn't really gone on from last season is Alejandro, who once split Dark Emerald and Heavy Metal. Both of those went on to win considerably better races than that form. I think it was at Haydock. But Alejandro didn't really seem to go forward from that. Off a mark of 96, he could still be competitive in handicaps, but 9 to 1-ish, let's say, is a little bit slim. If he drifts out at all, then he could become an each way proposition. But for me, Dusky Queen, I'll be there for win purposes, about 10 to 1. Samantha Bell on board for Richard Fahey once more. I'm going to assume you're going to go for Blaine and Foxtrot Romeo.
No.
Neither?
No.
Wow.
I told you my selection earlier.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Highland Glory is my my fancy and quite a strong one, to be honest. I think he's got a smashing chance, Highland Glory. Found the mile too much of a test on his return in the Spring Cup and would need the run anyway. Then his run at Goodwood last time was an absolute cracker behind 50 Shades of Grey. The form to be frank since by the winner going in once more of the same course and distance, and they went really fast that day. I think 3 of them took each other on for the lead, and he was one of them. He shaped by far the best of those that was up with the pace. So I've got no doubt that off a mark of 102 with Kieran Schumacher taking up a valuable £5, that I think he's a well handicapped tomorrow. I mean, his primary was rated a lot higher, around 111. I think he's got a smashing chance tomorrow. But I think Alfred Hutchinson's got a solid chance after that win at York, which he beat a good horse of Carl Burke's. Dusky Queen won nicely last time. I think this is tougher off £7 higher. Blaine, I could give a chance to, definitely. Foxtrot, I've given up on. Yeah, he's had his chance.
It's finally happened.
He's had his chance. And Highland Glory, yeah, I really like him tomorrow. 10-1. He's going to be one of my main bets tomorrow.
I might back Foxtrot Romeo tomorrow.
Go for it.
Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the day. The 2 o'clock at Haydock is our next protocol, the 888 Sport Pinnacle Stakes, a Fillies Group 3, over 1 mile, 3 furlongs, and 200 yards. For argument's sake, we'll call it 1.5 miles. 10 runners here go to post. This Jordan Princess is already a non-runner for the Luca Kamani yard, which is disappointing because I thought she'd go quite well. But such is life. Cleo is still in the field though, Adam, as is Talmada. They head to market. What's your view on the race?
Well, I was actually quite keen on Jordan Princess, so I'm quite disappointed that she's not running here. The 2 at the top of the market were both second in Group 2 company last time out. I mean, Cleo was second to Bragging, who then let that form down as long as Beldor in the Middleton, where we met Secret Gesture and Talmada. Talmada, I think, will come on for the run, as will Cleo, obviously. But of the pair of them, I prefer Talmada because I think Cleo will have stamina limitations over the trip. And her breeding doesn't really suggest to me that 1.5 miles is what she wants. I think she'd be more 1.25 miles filly. Talmada, on figures, I think, is the one to beat. And she'll take all the beating, but one at a bigger price that I do like, and I don't think the ground will be a concern to her, is Wonderstruck, who was a really likeable filly last year. She won a maiden on this day last year, today's Friday, but she won the maiden that Hydrogen was in, where she beat Forever Now. And she wasn't disgraced at Royal Ascot behind Bracelet, and her final run behind Silk Sari, she slightly disappointed that day, but the way that Silk Sari improved from that, won the Park Hill, and then was second on Champions Day, I think that she's a filly that will progress this season as well, and she's in the right hands of William Haggis to do that. And at an each way price, I wouldn't put you off her. I think Talmada is the one to beat.
Yeah, it's a competitive race, isn't it? I mean, it has fallen apart a little bit, unfortunately, with Jordan Princess coming out. Personally, I don't have that big a fancy in it. I'd go for more of an each way angle on Lustrous, who last season was second in the Ribblesdale, which is good form, and on her best form as well with Tapestry and Tagruda was 10 lengths behind those 2 in the Yorkshire Oaks. She'd be going very close here. I think 14-1, if she can bounce back to a bit of form, would be a good enough price. She was 7th on reappearance at Goodwood. That was behind Miss Marjorie, so she will have to overturn that form. But she was only beaten 5 lengths, and it was her seasonal reappearance, so I can give her a little bit of leeway on that. Lustrous is about 14-1 best price. I imagine she'll run much better now. If Miss Marjorie's at 15-2, I'd have Lustrous a little bit shorter. I think she represents a bit of each way value. I don't really fancy anything at the top of the market, to be honest. Cleo ran well last time out, will surely improve for that from the Luca Kamani yard. She'd probably be the most likely winner in my eyes, but it's not really a race I'd get too heavily involved in. I think Lustrous does represent good each way value, however. Now Luke passes this race on to Callum.
My New Year's resolution of the year is to avoid these mares races because they're just so unpredictable. And I've already broken that. I'm not going to have a bet in this one, though. I think it's competitive. It's a good little race, actually. There's quite a few you can give a chance to. Talmada, based on her last run, is certainly the one to beat. Running a Group 2 like that was a really decent run. Cleo, I do agree with Adam. I think there are slight stamina doubts considering that pedigree. She shapes as if it'll suit, though. Queen of Ice, I think, will need the run. Likewise, Wonderstruck, who suffered an injury after she ran last time. Lady Siana's a horse I like as well. If the ground's on the softer side, I think she's a little overpriced. She doesn't need bottomless ground at all. She just needs a bit of cut in the ground, and that would probably edge me towards her than Miss Marjorie, who's another one that I've always really liked. She does need it a bit faster. So if you want something at each way price, I think Lady Tiana will give you a good run for your money. She's an improving filly. She probably needed a run in France on her return. She didn't run too badly at all. But I think she could go quite well tomorrow. So I think the Fab's the one to beat, but Lady Tiana at a price.
Needs to ground a bit softer, I'd say, Lady Tiana.
She doesn't need it bottomless at all.
She can just.
She just needs She just needs a little bit of cut. I mean, she finished second in a handicap here on good ground. She doesn't like fast ground, and she doesn't like really bottomless ground. But a little bit of cut really suits her.
Haydock will be perfect. Ground at the moment at Haydock, if there's no more rain, it'd be absolutely perfect for her.
Yeah.
But there is rain scheduled overnight, which would put a real spanner in the works.
Oh.
But there has been rain forecast for the last 2 days at Haydock. So
if there is rain and it's soft ground tomorrow, then she's got a cracking chance of 10s because she'll go on it a lot better than the majority.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, there's rain. Yeah, you see it.
Good. That's brilliant. The 220 at York is our next port of call. The Stowe Family Law LLP Grand Cup rolls off the tongue, that one. It's a listed race over 1 mile and 6 furlongs. 10 runners here to get our way through, Adam. And it's a pretty decent race with the likes of Clever Cookie and Big Orange turning up. And also, we have a horse that, on the other hoof, the quote that comes out every single time about Red Galileo is that Ryan Moore once said that he doesn't stay 1.5 miles. Now, Ed Dunlop has put him up to 1 mile and 6 furlongs here. What do we make of that with Red Galileo?
Do you know what was weird last time out? I said 1.5 miles on his trip. He actually stayed on behind Agent Murphy, who incidentally runs in the Grand Prix de Chantilly on Sunday. He's the outsider of the field, but we can see him going really well, hopefully.
He stays the complete outsider of the field.
He is. He's the outsider. Not the complete outsider. He is the outsider, but he's not. If you know, I saw the race bet earlier. He was 5-1 outsider of the field. But the weird thing about Red Galileo is we've had him down as a non-stayer, but he actually stayed on behind Agent Murphy. But 1 mile and 6, I don't know. He's one of them horses that I just can't get a grip on.
In fairness, that was a very slowly run affair. It wasn't a crawl, but it was a slowly run affair that Agent Murphy won. I don't know. I don't think there was that much emphasis on stamina, to be honest.
You're probably right there, but I don't see him staying 1 mile and 6. That's for sure. Watch him win tomorrow. They'll probably end up supplementing for the Ascot Gold Cup because they'll think he's a stayer. But well. Clever Cookie's got the Group 3 penalty because this is a race for a horse that hadn't won Group 1 or a Group 2 after 2013. He won the Ormond last time out where he beat Tack the Blastron. He's entitled to come on for that, but I think that over this trip, and I accused him of being a non-stayer after this race last year where he dead heated with Ralston Road because Peter Niven said this is as far as he'd want to go, but it turns out he gets further than this on the flat as he proved in the Doncaster Cup. I just think that he'd want it soft there, and with a £6 penalty, I think he could be vulnerable to something else in the race. And the horse that I think he's vulnerable to, although he's got a £3 penalty himself, is Big Orange, who I think needed a run in the Ormond, and I think he's overpriced. He's a really promising stayer, and he won at Ascot and Old Merlis. And I just think this is the type of track that will suit him. He'll come on for that first run. Even though he has gone well at Chester in the past, I don't think it's a track that necessarily suits him. And at that price, I think he is someone to beat in the field. Elidor, me and Michael were on 2 weeks ago. We covered it, and I said that Elidor's very hard to win with. What did he go and do? He went and won. 1 mile and 6, I'm not convinced is his trip. I think he's more of a 1.5 mile horse. Having backed him in the Melrose a couple of years ago, he didn't look to stay then. I don't think he'll stay now. Others in the race, Angel Gabriel, I think, wants further. Time's Up definitely wants further. Odeon, he could go well at a big price, but I can't trust him. The selection is Big Orange.
Yeah, well, you have stitched me and Callum right up there. we were thinking we were being quite shrewd with Big Orange. 8-1, I think, is a huge price about him. On his form last season on Champions Day behind Forgotten Rules, he was only beaten 6.5 lengths on that day back in 5th. But I'd completely forget his comeback run. He's beaten 25 lengths by Clever Cookie. The ground probably wasn't ideal. It was very soft on that occasion. And he's not a Chester horse. He's too big to act around Chester. Okay, he's gone well there before and he's won there before, but that was in a completely different kind of company. And when he was a much lower rated and coming through the ranks. He's also such a big horse that he's not a horse that's going to be ready first time out. He's going to maybe even need the run again tomorrow with an eye to the future. But 8-1 about Big Orange is far too big tomorrow. And one that is another one that's coming through the ranks that I think could potentially be a bit overpriced is Wikia, who ran really well last time. It's a run that I didn't expect whatsoever, but they've chucked the cheek pieces on first time tomorrow over a mile 6, and he actually ran a really good race in the Cigaro, beaten only 5 1/4 lengths. Now, the horses that have come out of that, Mizu is very well fancied in the Ascot Gold Cup. We all saw what Von de Force did the other night in the Henry II. He looks like a real live candidate for the Ascot Gold Cup, and Forever Now also ran a good race in that. So Wikia about 7-8-1 as well, I think could represent really good value. I'd fancy Big Orange ahead of Wikia personally, but I'd expect both of them to go really well. As for the rest, it's hard to get too excited about the others in this kind of company. I think Clever Cookie will go well. I think he'll do well to win tomorrow. I think Big Orange will reverse that form on vastly different terms, also giving away £3 and £6 to most of the field. I think it's going to be quite a tough task for Clever Cookie. But Big Orange for me, Big Orange for Callum as well.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I just think, but back onto a more galloping track and more sounder surface, I think the price disparity between the pair, him and Clever Cookie, is a bit too much, to be honest. There's some up and coming stayers like Kieran, the Batian, Elidor will be thereabouts. I don't think he'll win. But yeah, I think Big Orange, he's got quite a lofty reputation, and considering that, I'm quite surprised he's the price he is. He's the kind of horse you expect in these sort of races to be a bit of a shorter price. But
has he got an entry in the Ascot Gold Cup?
Yeah, he must do.
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Must do.
Yeah, he does. Which is perfectly understandable. He would go there with a decent chance. He's got to run well tomorrow, obviously, but this will put him spot on for Royal Ascot. But I still expect him to go much closer than he did at Chester tomorrow afternoon. The 2:35 at Haydock is where we're off next. The Timeform Jury Stakes. Hey, Timeform.
Yeah.
The Timeform Jury Stakes is a Group 3 over 7 furlongs. It's been won by some nice types in the past. Penitent won this last year. Amarillo, the German raider, before Pastoral Player, and the Checker, which was a monumental day when the Checker won this for Eve Johnson Horton. It's a good race again. Tomorrow we've got the likes of Breton Rock. Cable Bay comes into this race off the back of a 5th place in the Lockinge behind Night of Thunder, Adam. Surely that would be part of the best form to go for.
Yeah, the Lockinge, although they finished in a bunch, I still think it represents pretty strong form where you got the Guineas winner and Night of Thunder winning. Out of the two, Breton Rock is a proven 7 furlong specialist, and for him to finish 7th as close as he was in the Lockinge over a trip that's probably a little bit too far for him, I thought was a really commendable effort. And with the ground going the way it is, he does look the one to beat, but I'm willing to side with Cable Bay, who has been given his first ride at the Curragh. I thought was a horrible ride because Jamie Spencer allowed basically the whole field to go past him before staying on, probably needing the run as well. And his run in the Lockinge was a really good effort. And let's not forget, he was second to Outstrip in the Dewhurst, and it seemed that he took plenty of time to come to hand. Now, he must have had a setback for him to come out in the second half of the year, and it took him till the end of the season to finally put in a decent effort behind Here Comes Len in the Challenge Stakes at Newmarket. If he's given a good ride tomorrow, I do think he is the one to beat, and I think he can improve again. Of the rest, Top Notch Tonto will like the ground, and Brian Ellison has been quite sweet on him. He was into Racing UK the other day, and he just said he wanted a bit of rain, and he'd be very happy with him. And I remember him winning over, I think it was it wasn't Course and Distance. He won at the track when he was a huge prize from the first videos we did. It was a long time ago. Won at a bigger price as well. Ascription went back into the notebook. One of Callum's favourite horses. He went into my notebook again after his run at York, where he didn't do much, if you get what I mean. He wasn't asked to do anything, but the way he travelled into the race was just so eye-catching. And it's interesting they've come here rather than wait for something like the Royal Hunt, which he's got an entry in. I can see him going well at a price. Mel as well. Mel as well. He's been running well of late as well. He got mullered at Goodwood and then ran well in the Victoria Cup. I can see him going well, but I don't think he'd be good enough, if you know what I mean. Master Carpenter's a big price as well, but Cable Bay is the one to beat for me.
Damn it! It's Callum's just loading up on the laptop. The SpongeBob theme, like where it says like the 2 hours later.
Oh, thanks.
Right. Don't know if you can hear that, but
Yeah.
you stopped talking just as he was. You stopped talking just as he was about to play that, which ruins our fun. Ascription, I agree with you. I think he'll run much better tomorrow, although I think this will be a run to put him spot on for Royal Ascot. He'll go there with a really live chance. He's a good price tomorrow and could well be each way value. Cable Bay would be the one that I side with. Really sweet on Cable Bay tomorrow. I thought he ran a really good race at the Curragh when given an indifferent ride, we'll call it, on his comeback, when third, and he was fifth in the lock-in, which is a huge run at 66-1, behind really nice types with the likes of Knight of Thunder, who, as Adam mentioned, is a very good Guineas winner. Integral is a very good horse in their own right, and Arod, who, again, is absolutely no slouch whatsoever, and he wasn't beaten all that far on that occasion in a race that he wasn't really touted to figure or play to part of a bigger hand in. So I'd imagine Cable Bay will take all the beating tomorrow. He will have to have a bit of luck in running, but he's a horse that I've had on my side for quite a while. He, as Adam mentioned, was off for a while with a bit of an injury, but he seems to be completely over that now, and Cable Bay would take a lot of beating tomorrow in my mind. Captain Cat's an interesting one. I think he's been price-wise for Roger Charlton and George Baker. He's a bit of a quirky horse, though. At one point, I thought this horse is clearly a Group 1 animal when he was winning last season, and then he's just gone straight back down again, and he's returned to his old ways, it would seem. If he puts his best foot forward, he could really play a strong hand in this, and he would probably take all the beating in this, to be honest, if he really performed to his true ability. But you can't trust him whatsoever on that front, and for that reason, I will side with Cable Bay. Breton Rock's an interesting one, who should, again, play a major hand in this, but Cable Bay, if running to his best, should take a lot of beating.
Between the two for me, Cable Bay and Breton Rock, which is exactly what the market suggests. To be honest, I do think Breton Rock's the one to be out of the two, to be honest. There's a head between them on that run in the Challenge Stakes at Newmarket last October, but Breton Rock was conceding £6 to Cable Bay that day. If there's more rain tonight, then Breton Rock his chances just become even more, because he just loves that little bit of cut in the ground, and he was just improving last year. Won the Hungerford after winning over course and distance in a listed race, second in this last year as well, only just narrowly denied by Penitent. He's a really admirable, likeable horse, and he's definitely the one to beat for me tomorrow. Al-Jamahir will hate the ground soft. I mean, he wants it like a road. Back to 7 furlongs now, or back down to 7 furlongs from 8. He just totally trickless horses, isn't he? Yeah, that is the spirit. I think come up short and absolutely so could sack off. So, Breton Rock for me.
Oh,
I hate that horse so much.
Was it in the E-Ball meeting last year where you finally got off the cliff?
Oh my God! When he won that listed race, it was like a hidden Group 3. And I had him beating handicaps, and oh my goodness me!
Honestly, in one of the
we both had him beating a Wokingham. We both had him beating a Bunbury Cup. Oh,
when he got beaten the Bunbury Cup.
In one of the first on Yahoo shows that Callum took part in, he tipped absolutely so and said, "I think this is a group horse," and that was at Lingfield on the Polytrack, and he came third and was beaten. Every time he's tipped it up on this show, it's been backed and it's run an absolute stinker, including in the Wokingham when he was 12-1 into about 7-2.
His chance went in the Wokingham right at the start, didn't it? And then when he got beaten in the Bunbury Cup, that cost me thousands of pounds. That's it.
That makes you seem like a huge gambler.
That it was a multiple costing. Yeah.
By a cliff horse that I have in Heaven's Guest. Oh, dearie me.
You have too many cliff horses. They're just no good. Let's move on to Newmarket. Let's move on to Newmarket for the first time tonight. 245. Sorry, is our first race there. The winner.co.uk Fairway Stakes, a listed race over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. Is it fair to say, Adam, that this is more of a race for horses that were touted for the Guineas, but didn't really make it there, with the likes of Nafakar, Peacock to an extent at one point, and Snoano as well?
You could say Derby horses as well, to an extent, as the Derbies next week. You could argue that they had higher expectations of them and they haven't fulfilled them yet. Peacock, I think, is a horse that they've waited with after his second to Golden Horn in the Field Stakes, and we all seen what Golden Horn has come out to do since, and he's now outright favourite for the Derby. On prices, I think they have got this right. I mean, he gets away from Nafakar. Nafakar, I don't think was disgraced in the Dante. I just don't think that. You could argue that the Dante in a way was a Group 1 race, even though it was a Group 2. So, I don't think Nafakar's at top class, and giving £4 to Peacock, who I think has a bit more to come, I think he'll find it hard to do. Peacock is the one to beat for me.
I don't really trust Nafakar, to be honest. I don't think he's straightforward whatsoever. Even when he won at Doncaster, he tried running out, we'll say, at the line.
Yeah, but to be fair, he wasn't the only one that tried it at that meeting. If you remember,
to be fair, Glory, he's done it on numerous occasions.
Yeah, true, but
like he's not straightforward at all.
There's something that caught the eye on that at that meeting, because remember, Cossack Glory did it, Nafakar did it on the same day, so there was something there that was catching the eye of inexperienced
Nafakar's still done it on more than one occasion. I really don't trust Nafakar, to be honest, to be 100% straightforward. He's a very talented horse, you can't take that away from him, but I don't think he's 100% straightforward. Saying that, he could win tomorrow, but I'd find it hard to see that. I'd side with Tanaf, who really caught the eye behind Cape Clear Island, who I think is running in the French Derby next. At Newmarket. It was in a sales race over.
French Derby at Newmarket.
No,
sorry.
No, the French Derby, not at Newmarket, but he caught the eye at Newmarket 2 outings ago. I think it was in a sales race behind Cape Clear Island, who is going to the French Derby.
Yeah, we go.
He ran well that day. He just got caught in a pocket and was much better than the bare result showed. Of him finishing 4th, he was probably good enough to win it on the day. He just didn't get a run at the right time. Chester last time out, he ran a good enough race behind Hans Holbein. Hans Holbein will be going to the Derby, the Epsom Derby this time.
Okay.
Next week at Epsom as well, surprisingly. And Hans Holbein will have a realistic chance, more of an each way alternative with Hans Holbein, but he was only beaten 5 1/4 lengths that day. The ground was soft enough as well. I think he wants it a bit faster. Representing Mike de Kock. Over in his country, Ryan Moore gets the leg up. I think 5 to 1 is a huge price about Tanaf, to be honest. Peacock's an interesting contender, but I wouldn't be backing Peacock at 11 to 10. At one point last year, I thought he could be really good, but he just hasn't really progressed in the manner that I'd want to see. And I question if a mile and 2 is really the trip that he wants. Tanaf has got a lot to find on official ratings, but he's better than a 92 horse. It's as straight as that. He really should be better than a 92 horse. He's got a lot to find, as mentioned, but I'd be disappointed if he couldn't push them close tomorrow afternoon. You a Tanaf fan as well?
Yeah, I do like Tanaf. Liked him since his debut. Yeah, I thought he was unlucky when he ran behind Cape Clear Island. I think he should have won. The form really hasn't worked out, to be honest. I think Aslan's come out and run poorly.
Cape Clear Island got beat twice.
Cape Clear Island, I don't really rate.
I like Cape Clear Island.
No, I think they're getting the most out of him when they can, and he will be in the hands of Mike de Kock by the time it's Dubai next year. Hans Holbein form's a bit better. He travelled really well into that race. He probably just didn't see it out. So their drop to 10 will be better. And Ryan Moore tomorrow, it's going to be a no-nonsense ride. The horse that does find plenty. I think that really suits him. But Peacock's the one to beat. That second in the fielding is a cracking run behind Golden Horn. I would be worried. He didn't really seem to handle the track too well that day. So I would be slightly worried about it. But he might just have the class to be just too good for them. So fully deserves to be favourite, but I'd certainly leave. And I think Tanaf represents some good value at 7 to 1. So
7 to 1.
It's definitely the kind of bet I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have a small bet on him because I'm too annoyed if he won and I didn't have anything on him.
That's him losing tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Moving back up to York now for the 255. The TitanBet.co.uk Spring Sprint handicap over 5 furlongs. 20 runners to get our way through this time, Adam. I'd love to pick a few out for you, but you can do that yourself.
This is tricky. This is a really tricky sprint handicap. There's one that I do like in this race, and it's Green Door, who has shown promise in the past. I mean, he won a Group 2 as a 2-year-old where he beat Windfire, and then he seemed to suffer a bit as a 3-year-old. He didn't really go on as expected. I mean, he then ran all right in some conditions events, but he's come back down to a mark that I think he can be really competitive of, and there's plenty of pace that he can chase tomorrow. And this is the type of race I can see him going really well in. Of the rest, I'm not really. There's nothing really at bigger prices that get my appeal. It's not a betting race for me. Normally, I like these handicaps, and you can find one at a bigger price that you like. But if there's one I'd love to see run well, I'd love to see Captain Dunn run well. He's won his last two, and he's getting on in years, but it's just great to see him back in winning form. I mean, he's won last twice at first. I don't think he'd be good enough to win this, but it'd be great to see him run well. Green Door is the selection in a race that I can't really get very enthusiastic about.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I'm going to put two up each way for this race. I'm going to start with Line of Reason, who ran in that modelling 6 furlong race that saw the return of Muthmir at the Dante meeting. He came 12th in that. He ran better than the bare result would suggest. He looked at $1 million on that day as well behind glass office. He wouldn't need to improve a great deal on that form to show a hand here. He has to give quite a bit of weight away to the field tomorrow, which won't really make life easy for him. But Paul, my running takes the ride for Paul Misby. I think 20 to 1 could be a big price about Line of Reason, who on his day is a very classy individual. And one that I'm going to expect a sigh from Callum to my right is Kimberella, who I'm still adamant is a good enough horse over 5 furlongs. If they go fast enough, then he can really travel into the race. So I know his best form's over 6 furlongs and maybe even a couple of good runs over 7 furlongs as well. He drops back to 5 furlongs here off a really workable mark of 90. If he's going to run well, then he really should be running a good race here. He's race fit. He's improving slowly throughout the season, which he will need to do because he couldn't really get much worse at the level. But I've had 22 to 1. I think Kimberella could be a bit of value. I think he could go well each way. But the main selection will be Line of Reason each way. But it's a race that I am more than happy to sit out of personally. It's a competitive race and it's a very tough betting heat. I'm sure you've got one to go for there.
Well,
please.
Kimberella, I've forgotten what I thought of that horse. It's been that long ago since
you thought it was a 6 furlong.
No, I thought it was. I'm sure I backed it at first, and it was dreadful when it dropped down to 5, and I was really confident. And I do think it wanted 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I put it up before.
It's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, it's got a lot of speed.
It won at Chester, didn't it? It showed really good speed.
He travels so strong.
Yeah, so I thought he wanted 5. I think that was it. When he was 13 to 8 favourite, and he was really disappointing. So he's just one of those you could see potentially popping up. But there's a lot of those in this race. Yeah. The informed horse is without any question of a doubt Red Barrett, who has been remarkably just thriving at the moment. It's incredible. His win at 30 the other day was seriously impressive. The second to outdo over course and distance, another fantastic run. He'd won on the all-weather twice before then. There's a lot of pace on tomorrow, and a lot of pace. And horses like Bogart, Normal Equilibrium, they're going to be up there. Captain Dunn, if he can keep up. The horses like that. So you do think it's going to be set up for something potentially. And Green Door is probably the one, if anything. Thought he ran a really good return behind Robot Boy. He caught the eye, definitely caught the eye there. He hasn't won probably since his Fine Childers win, has he? No, he hasn't. My slight worry is just he never seems to turn up in big fields.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Every decent run he runs is in a small field. That is the only thing that put me off. I think on form he's got a massive chance. Just cannot see him running well tomorrow. I just cannot see him doing it. And then Adam goes and tips him up. So
yeah, that's a good reason to put him nail in the coffin.
I just think a big field just isn't his bag, and it should be. It should be because he's that strong travelling horse. Go on.
When he ran in the 2-year-old trophy, not 2-year-old trophy, one of the Tattersalls races at York, I remember that because he shot clear and he looked the likely winner of about 3 weeks. And it's just something I hold on to. So I don't know. I do like him, but whether it's in a big field, it's because it's such a horrible race, and he was the one that appealed the most, which probably is the nail in the coffin for him. So if you
I'll go for his form figures. His form figures in single figure fields is 1-1, 2-2-2, 6-3, and his figures in big fields is 0-0-0. We'll give that 8-0-0. So I think there is definitely.
You've got your own. There's a case to make that argument there,
definitely. And I only looked at that. I just saw it, and I was like, "Oh." So that I may as well put a selection up. I think Bogart is a horse I always consider in York handicaps around this trip. I am resigned to the fact that he's better over 5 or 5.5 than 6, which just stretches him. Shane Gray taking off 3 tomorrow. I think he's attractively treated. His return behind Piper's Note was a good run at Beverley. He needed it as well, so he should be spot on here. I'd prefer him to a lot more. I think he's massive. I think great each way value at 11, so I can't see him up before.
I agree with that. That's your
that's my selection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the rest are just run-of-the-mill handicappers, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a tough race.
If I could guarantee someone gets a soft lead like Red Baron or Normal Equilibrium, then they're ones I can see winning, but they're all just going to take each other on.
Yeah. That's
what worries me about this race.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But, right, back to Haydock. Well, we may or may not have soft ground by this point. We don't know. The 310 is our next port of call. The 888 for Achilles Stakes is a listed race over 5 furlongs. For the second week running, we don't have Pretend, who's a non-runner here, so it leaves us with a field of 9. The favourite for the race, though, is Music Master Adam, who was a pretty high-class horse over 6 furlongs last year. Drops back down to the minimum trip here. Can you see him figuring over 5 furlongs?
Well, I think he's plenty short enough. I think, as you said, he is better over 6 furlongs. He's only here because he needs another run, and he's missed an intended prep run already in the Duke of York. So this is the ideal place to go with him. It's an easier race than last week's Temple Stakes. It's also given him an extra week to get over what was ailing him. I think he is vulnerable tomorrow. I just think that over this trip, he's vulnerable to something that's progressive. And it sounds silly to describe Outdo as progressive, but before the start of this season, when we did the Horses to Follow video, I very nearly put him up as a handicapper, but then I saw him.
I'm sorry.
This isn't
every week. Adam says, I always put this horse in as a horse to follow, and he's already won 4 races this year, including 4 Group 1s.
Yeah.
Every week, Adam. I'm not buying it anymore.
No, this one I did. Don't you remember me telling you about it when he won at Pontefract?
No, I don't listen to you.
Yeah, I know you don't, but I thought, anyway, I did tell you that I nearly put him in. The reason I didn't was because his handicap mark, I thought that it was too high. Lo and behold, he goes and wins 2 handicaps, and now look at him, he's £11 higher. I think he's in the form of his life, and I think he is the one to beat in what isn't the strongest listed contest. I think it's silly that Pretend was pulled out last week because the ground ended up actually being decent in the end. It wasn't soft at all. And Soul Power running at the Curragh, I thought it was a bit silly really with those two. Anyway, the rest is nothing. There's nothing really in the race that interests me. Kingsgate Native, I know you two will touch on. He didn't really get much luck last week. It was a messy race at Temple. But the softer ground is a real concern for him. Musical Comedy, I think, wants 6 furlongs. And the rest, I don't see any of the others getting involved. I think Outdo is the one to beat here.
Yeah, it's a intriguing race, we'll call it. I do think that Kingsgate Native's got a blinding chance again. You say the softer ground is not perfect for him. The rain hasn't really come yet. It wasn't that bad at Haydock today. It was still good ground. If rain does come overnight, then that will seriously hinder his chances. But he travelled strongly last week. He pretty much finished on the bridle because he got hindered so badly in running. He got blocked, then blocked, then blocked, then blocked again, and then G-Force almost fell in front of him. Then he got blocked again, and there was just no passage through for him whatsoever. This is a much weaker race than it was last week. If we fancied him last week, where he relatively had no run whatsoever, then you have to fancy him this week at about 10-1. Similar odds as well. Graham Lee takes the ride instead of Graham Gibbons on this occasion. That's no negative whatsoever. And if he runs this race, then it's hard to see him outside the first 3. It's hard to see him not pushing the leaders close, and he should be going very, very close if he does run to his best. The Music Master, I agree with you, Adam. He's vulnerable over 5 furlongs. He's a very good 6 furlong horse, but over the minimum trip of 5, he can be. He might just lack a little bit of toe for the best horses. Saying that, this isn't the strongest of renewals or strongest of races that he'll run, and he's run big races in Group 1s before. Outdo, I completely get what you mean about that, Adam. Outdo, he's just improved a lot this season, albeit in handicap company, so he takes a step up in grade today into listed races, but he's completely earned his chance to be here. I'd be disappointed if he wasn't going close enough in this. And Interbar, again, another interesting horse, was giving weight away all round last time out in a race not as strong as this, but over 5 furlongs, you'd imagine Interbar would go pretty close. But Kingsgate Native, I'll take each way. It's, again, not a strong betting race for me. I'm hoping that the rain will stay away overnight for numerous reasons tomorrow. at Haydock. But Kingsgate Native for me. You're quite sweet on Interbar though, aren't you?
Probably not for this race. I do like him. I thought he was an absolute bargain at sales for 65,000 because he's a proper group horse on his day and likes a bit of cutting the ground, which he should get tomorrow. I do think there is going to be rain. His run behind Clear Spring has been pranked by the winner going in since, and he gave away a lot of weight that day. It's just whether he handles 5 furlongs his first try at it. If this is over 6 furlongs, it'll be all over him. The rain, I think, will be a worry from Music Master and probably Outdo, to be honest, who hasn't really convinced himself on soft ground. For all he's had a limited amount of opportunities on it, but I've never really had him as a horse that will really take to soft ground. But he's the form horse. Music Master's the best horse. Just think the drop to 5 furlongs is another worry as well. So I could easily take him on, and just there's a lack of options on who to take him on with, really. Even looking at Speedhawk.
I knew that would pop up at some point.
I mean, he was running really well in Dubai. He doesn't stay a yard past 5.5 furlongs, probably. Kingsgate Native, I think, should run well. I mean, I fancied him last week, like you did, so this is probably a weaker race. He goes on any ground, really. I mean, he just loves it at Haydock, so why will he not run a good race tomorrow?
That was my reasoning as well. It was a much better race than we fancied last week.
I think I'd rather have him than most, to be honest.
Yeah, as long as the rain does stay away, because that would really scupper his chances. Well, although saying that he ran a really good race in the Temple on soft ground. Not last week, the year before in the Temple, behind Hot Streak and Pearl Secret. That one, Pearl Secret, the one that won it last week. But yeah, soft ground. Yeah, go on.
I just finally wins over 5 furlongs.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think Kingsgate Native will go well tomorrow, but it is a tricky race, and I'm sure whatever wins it will go on to bigger and better things. The 320 from Newmarket is up next. The winner.co.uk handicap over 1.5 miles. 10 runners here, Adam, and it features one of the horses who was most impressive throughout the whole season on his reappearance with Penhill, who's been raised £7 for that Ascot win. Ryan Moore takes the ride tomorrow. He's around a 2-to-1 shot. He should theoretically go in again.
Yeah, I agree with that. He probably needs to win again if he wants to go for the Duke of Edinburgh at Royal Ascot. And over that course and distance at Ascot, he was really impressive. He was keen enough early on, and the margin, he only won by a short margin, but he was valued for a lot further, I thought, on that occasion. He beat some consistent handicaps. Oasis Fantasy has come out and run well since over 1.6 miles behind Quest for More last week. Goodwood. And I know he's a short price, but I think he's a clear one to beat. And if you fancy one at an each way price, if you think he'll win, you've got second and third. So, of the rest, Watersmeet, at Newmarket on 1,000 Guineas Day, I was really worried about the way he hung across the track, and you don't want him doing that again. It was really worrying. Of the rest, I think Farquhar could run well. I think he'll come on for that first outing behind at Ascot. So he's one at a bigger price that I do like, behind Agent Murphy, actually. Yeah, I thought it was Agent Murphy's race. I can see him going well, and hopefully it'll be a nice form boost for Agent Murphy on Sunday. So he'd be the one each way if I was to have one a bet away from Penhill.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with Penhill. 2-to-1, I think, is a really fair price. He was keen early on at Ascot, which didn't help his chance, and I thought he might pull away his chance, but he quickened up really nicely and then battled off all comers that were charging at him on either side. I thought it was a really gutsy performance, and a horse that is probably very well handicapped. Ryan Moore takes the ride tomorrow, which is hardly a negative. Luca Kamani's horses generally improve for the run. So if Penhill's better than he was at Ascot, off a mark of 93, that should prove no problems for him. Obviously, a £7 rise for winning at Ascot. 2-to-1, I think, is a cracking price about him. He's one of the more solid options tomorrow, in my mind. And Adam also stole another horse that I wanted to talk about, in Watersmeet, who I think is the each way value of the race. It was a bit of a worry how he hung across the track at Newmarket. That was on Guineas weekend. That was behind Astrona Reyes, though. I think that's a stronger race than this is. I think that was a race that really will have some mileage for the future, with the likes of Astrona Reyes coming out of it. I think Watersmeet, again, will go on to bigger and better things. He's made his name really through running on the all-weather tracks, but he seemed to have no problem with turf last time out. Quest for More, I think, already boosted that form by running well. Arab Dawn as well will probably go on to better things in handicap company. So that was a much better race last time out. I'd be disappointed if Watersmeet wouldn't be going close tomorrow. However, it is a little bit of a worry how he hung across the course last time out. That would be something worth keeping in mind, but I'd give him another chance on that with Joe Fanning riding for Mark Johnson, who is still in absolutely fantastic form at the moment. About 8-1, I think, represents good value on Watersmeet. But Penhill is your most likely winner in my eyes, and I imagine it is for you as well.
Yeah, I think he's got a smashing chance tomorrow. I just think he wins, to be honest. I thought he was value for considerable amount more than what he won at Ascot. Thought that was a decent enough race, and they've got themselves probably a bargain at 230,000 guineas. I think he'll end up being a brute horse. Last year I liked him when he was with James Bethel. There's some really impressive performances, notably when he won at Ripon. Absolutely bolted up behind in front of Notarized, who runs here again. There's once on his last start as well. Him and Watersmeet are probably the dangers, but the only thing is the ground. Maybe it's a bit too quick, but he's won on Good to Firm before as well, so you don't really think it should be an issue.
He does have a very stampy action, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely wants a bit of give. Probably wants to give a bit of give underfoot, ideally.
I will say that may be more exaggerated because he is jet black, but he does have 4 white legs.
Right.
It could be more exaggerated that his knee action.
It was hardly slow when he won at Ascot, was it? It was quite. No, it actually dried out quite a lot.
Well, it was the same day Agent Murphy won the Buckhounds. It was fast enough that day.
Yeah, and the horses. I can't remember the name. Ellsworth horse won the Victoria Cup. I liked it fast. So Speculative Bid. Yeah, singing Outback Travel or something. I wish I hate that horse. It's a bush ranger.
Bush ranger, yeah.
Penhill. I can't see him beat tomorrow.
No, he shouldn't be beat really, and he will have to win as well if he wants to run at Royal Ascot in whatever handicap he is going for. The last race to cover on this Mammoth 9 race card, thankfully, is the 345 at Haydock, the 888 Sport Sandy Lane Stakes, which has been upgraded to a Group 2 status this season. Over 6 furlongs, we've had some good winners of the race in the past. Aeolus being one of them. Slade Power also won this 3 years ago, and Professor won this 2 years ago as well. We are treated to Limato having his final prep before Royal Ascot. As long as the rain stays away, that would be a big worry for Limato. Henry Candy has put Graham Lee on board, who of course was riding him when he won the 2-year-old trophy up at Redcar. He's a short enough price to do it. However, he does look the outstanding horse in this division, Adam.
Yeah, he does. I mean, of the 3-year-old sprinters, he looks the most likely winner at Royal Ascot in the Commonwealth Cup. At this stage, where he was, I did have concerns about him on his comeback. I mean, Henry Candy had issued a warning that he hadn't been firing at home like he had been as a 2-year-old. But maybe it was just that he wanted to come back on the race course, because he was really impressive in beating Tendu and a day since has come out and won at Newbury. Even without Limato, if Limato is a non-runner tomorrow, it's still a cracking race. I think this new 3-year-old sprinting program, I said it a couple of weeks ago, I think it's a great initiative, and it's brilliant that they've got a 3-year-old Group 1 for the sprinters that may get lost if they went in race against the older sprinters who are more streetwise and more battle hardened. So it's good that they can stay in their own company. Obviously, if they want, they can run in the King's Stand, but these are more 6 furlong horses. Matt Muller thought ran really well in the Duke of York. It was a muddling affair, but I still think the race has got some. I think you can take some positives from that race as well, which I'll explain a bit later on. A day won nicely at Newbury, and he beat Salt Island. I think Salt Island could have been given a better ride that day, and I can see him reversing the form if with them opposing again. But one at a bigger price that I'm going to have to give a mention to, I don't get why Beacon is 33-1, because he's a Group 2 winner. What do you mean, oh God? The ride he got at Ascot.
I don't like him at all.
You said I don't get why Beacon is 33-1. I said I do.
I don't. If you watch that race back at Ascot, he travelled really well, and then he just ran up the back of a rival, and then Richard Hughes just looked after him. It was a bizarre ride, and if he was half the price, if he was 16s, I wouldn't have looked at him, but because he's 33s, I think it's a bit of a silly price, really. And 3 places, I back Beacon each way at 33s. I'm not going to back Lamarco just because I've got slight concerns about the ground, and if they have concerns themselves, they won't run. So, and then the market's made again. So, I think Beacon at 33s is definitely overpriced. The slight concern I do have one slight concern with Beacon. Is 6 furlongs going to be his trip? I think he shaped it so 6 furlongs will be fine.
He wants
On his
6
own
furlongs,
attempt, I think he wants it, but last season when he tried it in the gym crack, he didn't perform that day.
He needs it now.
He needs it now.
Mm.
I do think he's overpriced. New Providence wants faster ground. I love New Providence. She's one of my favourite horses, but I just think she wants faster. Too Cool for School will love the ground tomorrow. It's soft enough now, so any rain will be welcome for him. We also how impressive he was at Newbury. Lamarto, if he runs, should be the one to beat. But Beacon at 33s, I can't resist having a couple of quid each way.
Yeah, okay. Limato is the market leader and the justified market leader. He's the favourite for the Commonwealth Cup at the moment. I think 5-2 is the best price you're going to get about that. He apparently wasn't fit on his comeback, and he still destroyed most of these rivals that he's facing today. He's going to be fitter tomorrow, which in theory, he should beat them even easier than he did at Ascot. Whether the rain comes or not, if the rain doesn't come, we'll put it this way, if Limato runs, then he really should be winning, because Henry Candy won't risk him on ground that's too soft and try and bottom his chances before he goes to Royal Ascot, because really he should be one of the bankers of the week at the Royal Meeting. There's not much point in talking about Limato for too long, because he should just turn up and win if he runs. If not, he'll be a non-runner. Matt Moo ran really well at York against older horses, so I think the softer ground will help him, because he was close to being a non-runner in the Duke of York because of the fast ground. Any rain will be a huge positive for Matt Moo, but still, on last year's Redcalf form, he couldn't really hold a candle to Limato, who beat him on the bridle. A Day is a horse that I just think is going to improve with more time. He's a huge, big horse who is probably still growing into himself, in truth. He's really improved this season, I think. Paul Hannigan takes the ride for William Haggis, and I think A Day could be the one to serve it up most to Limato. Salt Island got going far too late last time and had severe traffic problems. I'd imagine Salt Island will go a lot better tomorrow afternoon. Of course, he was behind A Day last time out, went third at Newbury. And New Providence is a horse that I absolutely adore. She always runs her race, no matter what ground, no matter what trip, she always runs her race. And she was second in the Nell Gwyn behind a sailor. She's a really classy individual. 6 furlongs is what she's dropping back down to. Last time she was at 6 furlongs, she won at Salisbury. So I don't think the trip's going to be too much of a worry. I don't think the ground will be too much of a worry. And I really hope she runs her race once more, because she's a really lovely filly. Harry Bentley takes the ride for Hugo Palmer. She's just a little bit below top class, but you will get a run for your money if you do back New Providence each way. This is Limato's race to lose, though. How far is he going to win by if he runs?
If he runs, he wins because he's, I don't know. How far did he win the 2-year trophy by? 1.5 lengths.
Unextended.
Unextended, and Matt Moo's off £9 worse terms. And Matt Moo's the one to beat without him. So the thing is that I think there is going to be rain tomorrow. I don't think Limato will run. I think he'll run on Monday. So take that out of consideration. Who do you back? I think Matt Moo will be absolute certainty in this, because A Day I don't think wants it soft. Salt Island certainly doesn't want it soft, and Too Cool for School's your only rival. And I think Matt Moo's better than him. So,
am I being silly? Probably, but I don't really rate Too Cool for School that highly.
No, I don't.
I just think on that romp at Newbury, he handled the softer ground much better than anything else did. And the horses that he beat in second aren't great.
Had the run of things, yeah, and it wasn't a very good Mill Reef.
He beat Growl and Kibar. Strathburn is meant to be good, but
Jungle Show didn't run his race. And
By Thoralga, I don't really rate either. Too Cool for School, I think he won in the manner of a good horse. I'm not taking that away from him. But I just think on soft ground, I think he handled it better than most. And I think he might just be a soft ground horse. There was something about it.
It goes well on fast ground. It was rattling fast when he finished second behind Dutch Connection.
There was just something about that run that didn't... it didn't grab me. I don't know why.
No,
because he absolutely bolted up. But
you don't want to get flattered. He was flattered by it. He had to be.
Yeah.
But he was entitled to need the run, and he's entitled to show that he's up to that class. But yeah. I'm just saying, I think Matt Moo's better anyway.
Oh yeah, he is.
And he loves soft ground. So yeah, he'd win if Lamata didn't run, and I'm pretty sure Lamata will get pulled out because it's going to be rain. He's more guaranteed to get faster ground on Monday, so he may as well go over to Ireland.
Right. What's the aim in Ireland?
There's a race at Naas on Monday.
Is that the one that Sandiva won?
I think a few years ago. Wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago for Midland Park.
That's
Cool
a listed
Company
race,
as well
isn't
went
it?
over for it and got beat by
That's 2 hours. Isn't it?
something.
I don't know, but yeah,
Oh,
he's in at Naas on Monday. I know that for a fact.
Yes, right, okay. Limato should win if he turns up. Is the consensus of all 3 of us, really, as Callum looks for that race. It's your last chance to get any questions or fancies in that you may have here. Just tweet us at On The Other Hoof. We will read out every single question and fancy now, I think. Is that the first? Yeah, first race. Right, Kai Wills. Sorry, Kai Wills always the first question. I don't know. I just stop scrolling when I get to Kai's question. Limato, a superstar in the making, win tomorrow. We've all just said if he turns up, then he should win because the ground will be fine for him if he does turn up. But it is a bit of a guess, really, on how much rain will arrive and how the ground will be. He also says many things. He says, would you be worried about pretend on turf? Do you think he'll win tomorrow? I can absolutely 100% say that he will not be winning tomorrow. He's a non-runner, Kai. So pretend will not be winning tomorrow. I wouldn't. But for the future, would you be worried about pretend on turf? I wouldn't be.
I wasn't. I don't know. Chris just kind of
Don't know.
I don't know. He's never proven it. I've always liked the horse, but
yeah, he just has to build a horse
as well.
that would go on turf. I don't think there'd be any problems with.
Shouldn't be. There really shouldn't be.
But
this shouldn't be a reason why
look,
Trista doesn't go on turf, and he clearly doesn't.
In fairness, Trista's run one bad race.
Yeah,
and it was a really bad. He was really bad run.
I was still seeing winning some like an Arlington Million.
Exactly. I think rule Trista out at your peril. I think. I mean, I wouldn't be going in on him next time, but I would say just to keep Trista on side, it was one bad run, and he was absolutely awesome on the all-weather. So a horse just doesn't lose that ability just by transitioning from all-weather to turf. Kai then also goes on to say, chances of don't touch in the 420 at Haydock. Have we looked at the 420 at Haydock?
I had a look at this. He won on debut at first. He was quite impressive, and I think his handicap mark isn't too harsh. He's definitely on beating that, so yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks, Adam. You just got to that. Oh, don't touch. Yeah, I remember that one there. It's a tough race. It is a tough race. I think Sevi will be much better for his run at York after such a long break.
It's the one he's heard of.
Screw you. Now, Kai's gone for a long-term range question here. The panel's best bet for Royal Ascot. # solo, # round 2, # Limato, smiley face. Cheers, Kai.
All 3 of them win. All 3 of them win. I'll say that. Put them all on.
Okay, but what's your best bet for Ascot? What we'll do? We'll do a graded, a group race and a handicap.
Okay. We've only got 2 handicaps priced up at the minute, so.
Well, yeah, but
in the Wokingham.
You don't have to give a price. Just a horse that you think is going to go for a handicap and you think will go well.
All right then. Okay. Dissolution in the King George V. I hope he turns up there. 1.5 should suit him. There's quite a few for all after handicaps I like. I'll give you the Corsican for the Wolverton. He was really impressive last week. And I hope he goes there instead of the hard hit.
We said 2.
It doesn't matter.
It does, because you're going to talk for ages.
If you want a group one, I don't know. I haven't got one for group.
Yes, he's muted himself. What a treat.
Yeah, but his sister started shouting.
Yeah. For the handicaps, I'll say Gameson in the Wokingham. I think he's a really attractive mark. He got no run whatsoever last time at Newmarket. For mark 100, he should be very competitive in the Wokingham. And group horses, I'm going to stick with G-Force in the Diamond Jubilee. He's by far the best 6 furlong horse. I just hope that Dave O'Meara sees that he's a much better 6 furlong horse than a 5 furlong horse. I'm not holding out much hope on that, but I really do hope he goes for the Diamond Jubilee. Yourself?
I haven't really had a look at handicaps, but I do agree in your Gameson, so I'll probably just pick that And
Lazy. You haven't got me for picking out Sevi, and then you just steal mine, or
well, I haven't had a look at the races, so there's no point in me tipping up something I haven't had a look
got a
at.
flat expert here.
It's not Aston Martin, yeah, is it? It's handicaps. I never look at handicaps before, even Cheltenham. Round 2 is an absolute monster.
That's in the Coventry.
Yeah.
Kai did fancy round 2 as well. KJ is next. Is Cleo bred to get 12 furlongs? Can we predict the ground at Haydock with confidence tomorrow? I couldn't predict the ground with confidence at Haydock right now.
He was riding on a softer side, definitely, today, this evening, and I think there's more rain.
Is Cleo bred to get 12 furlongs?
No.
I'm not sure.
She isn't bred to get it. She shapes as if you'll get it.
Yeah. And KJ comes back in again, saying, given there are less runners than usual, are the outside stalls death nails? Nails? Death nails, I'll say that is, for the 2 favourites in the Prix de Jockey Club.
Death nails.
Shouldn't be.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough, KJ. In the Prix de Jockey Club.
Shouldn't be, because they're the 2 best horses in the race. So, apart from Sunbal, but Cracktar and New Bay, I don't see the draw as being a negative for either of them. So,
Cracktar looks well above average.
Well, New Bay was badly drawn in the 2000 Guineas, and he seemed to overcome that, although he did get going far too late, obviously, down the outside. But
it's easier to go to overcome bad draws when you're against significantly inferior horses.
True, that is true.
And when Cape Clear runs a 12 shot first time blinkers, it's a poor race. I don't like him at all.
KJ then comes in again. How ominous for Arc contenders was the return of Trev today? And did anyone see anything notable at Breakfast for the Stars? Trev first, brilliant comeback in the pre-corrida.
Oh, me and Callum have a long association with Trev. We've loved her for a long time, so it was
Trevor.
Trevor. It was brilliant to see her win like that, and it's quite scary to think that she wasn't 100% today. And if she turns up at the Arc 100%, I honestly don't see anything beating her. So,
no.
Yeah.
She shaped really nicely today, and she should get much better than that. Apparently, she was 80% fit today. And the second question, did anyone notice anything notable at Breakfast of the Stars? Now, I'm not going to let Adam talk first on this, because he's talking utter nonsense.
Right.
Jack Hobbs didn't handle the track whatsoever. And people say he was the most... No, shush. Big man's talking now. Sorry. Jack Hobbs didn't handle the track whatsoever. William Buick kept him on the bridle the whole time and kept a really tight hold of the right rein, and he was still drifting down the camber. Now, if you come off the bridle, he's going to go straight down the camber, and he's going to have to be corrected, and he will lose momentum through that. Elm Park, on the other hand, yes, he did change his legs a lot. That's what he does. Also, he was doing it in an intelligent manner. He changed his legs, but he ran straight as a die, and he was still putting distance in between himself and his lead horse. Golden Horn, I think, was the most straightforward of the lot. He just handled it fine. But Jack Hobbs, after that, I really couldn't have him on my mind for the Derby.
Well, I actually like Jack Hobbs coming down the hill.
Which is more of a reason to look at him.
Fair enough. Well, did you see them? What footage did you see? Did you see them come round Tatton Corner?
Yeah, I've seen them come around Tatton Corner.
Didn't look good. Didn't like him. I really didn't. I'm a big fan of Elm Park, as we've said on these videos, but I just didn't like the way he came around Tatton Corner, and I could see him. That was only at 3/4 speed. In full speed in the Derby, I'd be really worried for him. Jack Hobbs, I don't know. To be honest, I know we're doing the Derby next week, but for me, it's a no-bet race. I don't like the Derby. Don't like Epsom, if I'm being perfectly honest, but yeah, but that doesn't like me. Yeah.
Next question, Richard Cook. Why is Ansgar 12-1 in the 235 at Haydock? Good group form, beat a couple of these in 2014 who reoppose at lower odds, plus good at 7 furlongs.
He tends to need his first run as well, so that's too negative.
I like that horse a lot, and I tipped him up when he won at Donny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he's got a penalty. He'll need the run probably. I think he'll be fit enough, but I think he'll come on for it. But the ground is the big issue. He doesn't go on anything hint of soft in it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. He was impressive at Doncaster last year. I remember you being keen on that as well.
And Lee Roche is on it, taking over from James Doyle. So there isn't much going for it.
Guy. KJ has come back in with another 2,000 questions. I know we're deep in the flat season, but a special happy birthday wish to the man who revolutionised training and horse care, Martin Pipe, the man who gave me Alvic, All Hail, and Well Chief among so many other greats. Only 70 years
today.
young. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mr. Pipe.
I'm sure Martin Pipe will appreciate that, as he is an avid watcher of On the Other Hoof, TJ. But happy birthday to Martin Pipe as well. Jeff Handley, Salt Island takes a step up in grade, but looks very interesting at 14-1. We all agreed with that, didn't we? As long as the rain stays away.
If the rain stays away, but then if the rain stays away, then the Marto doesn't.
Yeah, exactly, and that's when all win chances gone. Lee Armstrong loved me on hills today, very chic. That's what I was going for. Thank you very much, nonetheless. Kai Wills, will there be a preview for the Oaks Day? Likely.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, likely.
Last year.
Yeah. I was in a McDonald's car park watching the Oaks last year. Naif Raymond, the last question of the day. Off to Chester tomorrow. Any tips, lads? Chester.
Keep your money, it's Chester.
If it rains, if it chucks it down, then Gable's Catco, Chester. You may as well just go into one of the shops and just go bet at Haydock, York, and Newmarket and listen to what we said earlier.
There is one that I'll say. I thought Bertie Whittle shaped really nicely last time out. He's not amazingly drawn, and he hasn't won for a long time.
Favourite. That's disgraceful.
Who?
Bertie Whittle.
No, it's not.
Isn't him?
He's 8-1. That's 5s. Bertie Whittle's 8-1. I think he represents a bit of value. He shaped really nicely last time out behind 50 Shades of Grey. He's not amazingly drawn. That's the one where he's drawn in stall 8. But he should run a good race. I think he'd be a good each way bet for you, Nay, if you go. Right, nap time. Adam.
Outdo.
Right, I will take Cable Bay in the Jury Stakes.
Timeform Jury Stakes.
Timeform Jury Stakes, sorry.
Penhill.
Penhill for Callum. Right, we'll be looking to better 3 seconds that we had last week. And hopefully one of us might get a winner. Maybe. We can't promise anything on that. Thanks for joining us tonight, Adam.
No worries.
Thank you for joining
No
me
worries.
as well.
I'll start working again.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep for a year now. But enjoy the racing tomorrow. If you have a bet, good luck, and we'll be back next week, maybe for an Oaks preview. If not, then we'll be back on the Friday night for a Derby preview for the big race next week. Good luck tomorrow from everyone here at On the Other Hoof. Until next week, goodbye.